Hello there. Thanks for watching, listening to VIP Boxing's Bell to Bell, episode 160 or 161. We're on, I don't know. You're either watching on YouTube, listening on iTunes or Spotify. Thank you very much, and leave a review, say what you want. You know me, Steve Lillis. You know my co-host, John Evans, in his familiar position there in one of the rooms in his mansion in Chatterton, or outskirts of Oldham. He's on a private road where no one can find the house. But that's the sort of guy John is. Tonight's guest, the man, well, I don't know, can never be silenced, not on this podcast anyway, and whose desire to succeed as a boxer is stronger than ever. Former British featherweight champion Ryan Walsh, arguably our favourite guest on this. And we tell this to everybody, Ryan. We're not just saying this to kiss your ass, mate. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks, more importantly, for stopping Call of Duty and squeezing us in before you go training with your missus tonight down the gym. So, what's happening with Ryan Walsh in the boxing world? You already told John what's happening in the Call of Duty world.
Well, I've got some exciting news, but I just can't say anything yet, unfortunately, Steve. Hopefully the next time I'm on, we can announce it, because I would have thought it'd all been sorted by now, but it's like we've got contracts to sign, but I am really excited. That's what I can say. Unfortunately, I can't do much more.
Well, don't say it, because some promoter or manager will ring us up and start, whoever he knows best out of John and myself will ring up and start saying you two got it out of him. I don't know if you want to try and get it out of him, John.
No, Ryan's one of the most determined mind people I think I've ever met, and there's no prizing it out of him if you don't want to give it up, is there? So I'm not even going to bother.
I do wish I could, but I don't want to jinx it neither. So,
yeah. And before you carry on, how are the brothers doing, Liam and Michael?
Liam's out in Tenerife as we speak and enjoying the weather. I went out first. It was cloudy for 5 of the 6 days I was there. It was a nightmare. I love the place, but I've never known like it. But Liam's had the sun. And Michael's got a fight coming up on Saturday. It's an unlicensed 6-rounder. So, yeah, Michael. Liam's chilling out in the sun. He's took my mum and he took his family. So, I think they're having a great time.
That's optimistic, isn't it? Calling a Michael Walsh unlicensed fight, 6 rounds.
Who would want to fight Michael Walsh over 6 rounds in an unlicensed fight? You know what? There's a lot of questions in this year that come up that I'll never know. That one I won't even attempt to answer. What on earth would you want to fight him for 6 rounds in an unlicensed sport?
It's crazy, isn't it? I don't know how it come about. I think he does know the guy. I think he once sparred with him, or he'd go over to Tenerife to do some work with him, but it's all come about, and he's a week away, so he's buzzing for that. It's done him good, to be fair, Steve, because when you've got no direction, it's easy to get distracted, and it's been a goal for him, and I think he might end up doing more than, it won't just be a one-off. I think he's some part of the promotion too, so.
I don't know what to know, but good luck to Michael and send him my best. Not that he needs good luck from me for a Saturday night for an unlicensed, I don't think. Anything you want to add, John, or ask?
I'm not. My little bulldog's found his way upstairs and he's pestering me. Won't leave me alone.
Same as mine. You can't hear my little shih tzu. The headphones are on here. I've had to throw him out of my little office here because of that. But your bulldog's welcome at any time. What a gorgeous.
What's his name, John?
Lloyd, after Lloyd Honeyghan.
Lloyd Honeyghan.
I like that. What's the name of your shih tzu then, Steve?
Alfie. My daughter's named it because they was into a YouTuber, one of the early YouTubers about 10 years ago. Forget which one, but there was a YouTuber called Alfie when my daughters, before they were teens, are into. So the dog's called, in an ideal world, my dog would have been called Evander.
Oh, brilliant. You had to have a nod to boxing. I think Michael's had Tyson, Barr. He's had a few.
Yeah, when I used to have cats, I had a Jonesy and a Marvin, but they both ran away, so maybe they didn't like being called
Jonesy.
After Roy Jones. I couldn't call him Jones.
Of course, yeah.
Right, anyway, we're here to talk boxing. I think this week, the beginning, middle, of end is all about one place and what's gone on the weekend in Saudi Arabia. So we'll just fly through these 3 minutes around. We'll start round 1 with John Evans, who wants to know, I don't know if you're suggesting it or saying it, John, Britain's boxing's best night you were mentioning earlier to me.
Yeah, suggesting, is this, in terms of results, the best individual night British boxing's had? No, if you look at the the four main winners on Saturday night, apart from Zhang, who took an old Wilder out, they were all British guys. We had Hutchison, Ball, Shiraz, and Dubois. Now, Nick Ball's victory over Ray Ford in any other year would be fated as a massive result. Hamza Shiraz knocking out Amo Williams would have been a massive result. And what Dubois did against Hrgovic would have been the British performance of the year. And they've all done it on away soil. Now, I remember in the past, like Kell Brook beating Sean Porter, Darren Barker beating Daniel Gill. Those have documentaries made about them and anniversary nights, and we never stop talking about. We had 3 on a single night. Now, I can think back to when Lennox Lewis beat Michael Grant, Paul Ingle beat Junior Jones on the undercard, and I remember that being quite a big thing, the big guy and the little guy posing for pictures. But to have 3 massive wins at world level, conclusive wins, I can't remember that happening with British boxers before.
I think there's been maybe better nights result turn, but the word you used there was the plural, John, results. So it doesn't come near it on results, I don't think. Let's say the only one, that's the one. We've had 2 or 3 fighters on a bill in Las Vegas, they've won, but for results and magnitude, that doesn't come close.
No.
I think it is up there with them, and I couldn't believe it was a clean sweep. I don't think anyone predicted it was going to be a clean sweep. All 5 of Warren's lads winning. It was a great night. It was, and the more them nights happen, the better. And it's proof that we have always. If you think we're a little island, and how well we do on the world stage, like use the whole UK, 70-odd million. It's 200 million in America, and 2 of them fighters were some of America's best. So it was an unbelievable night, really.
Yeah, that's certainly the best night results-wise. I mean, when you talk great nights, I go back to when I was a little boy, my old man talking about Cooper Clay and Richard Burton being ringside, stuff like that. But results-wise, that's the thing, John. It doesn't come close to it.
Lennox becoming undisputed champion by beating Holyfield. That's better night for British boxing. But the sheer number of results on away soil against top quality opponents, I can't remember it.
Been some great nights. I remember, McGuigan Pedrosa was the first stadium fight in Britain. Oh, it was like an Irish fighter against. That was a big night for British boxing. That was the first stadium fight for some time. Look, it's been great nights, but results-wise, doesn't come close, John. Doesn't come close. I think you're right.
Phenomenal achievement for all of them, really. Yeah. Great stuff.
Well done to them all. Round 2, one of the guys one of the Americans on the receiving end was Deontay Wilder. Been reading a lot of stuff today on him, and I really don't want the criticism that he's getting from people, useless champion, chinny stiff, all this sort of stuff I've been reading today by these great jack of all trades, master and none on social media. You know what? I just think he needs some love as a world heavyweight champion. Said it before on here. He's been in one of the most talked about trilogies ever. How close was he to knocking out Tyson Fury? He's got a knockout reel that's fantastic, the way he's done people and left them out cold. He sold himself brilliantly. And, when the division has been struggling really bad, he was the one who had it on his back for a year or so. I just think, instead he's getting remembered as a really poor champion by a lot of people. I think that's really, really unfortunate. Well, not poor, but an ordinary champion, maybe. No one's saying he's poor, but there's a lot of criticism of his chin and, just the guy himself in general the last couple of days since the Zhang loss.
For me, Steve, I think it's wrong because 38 knockouts anyway, you just got to tip your hat to that, and he has the power, but he's star. I was talking in the gym today with a few of the lads. I've never known a star of a fighter be so high and he's plummeted, he's at the lowest, there's no respect for him anymore. And it's do you not remember when this guy was killing everybody? And my trainer Joe said to me, he said he feels he changed from Elenius when he started apologizing and worrying about how Elenius was after that. He changed a lot. Apparently he went on a retreat or something. That's what Joe was telling me.
Really?
If a fighter, apparently I think once a fighter starts worrying about the other guy and how he could hurt him, you've got to be barbaric in this sport. And it is crazy. Deontay, I think Tyson probably ruined him. I do think Tyson. Them two, especially the second and third fight, he just took something off him. But his star being so low, that's done my head in a bit. Because I think he wasn't that bad. It's just that once they lose that something, certain fighters, there ain't no going back.
Yeah. There's not been a fighter with that aura since Mike Tyson, has there, where you tuned in to watch him knock people out and you knew it was going to happen. It was crazy. No matter how far behind he was in a fight, you knew he could lower the boom at any second and he would take people out in spectacular fashion. So, yeah, people like to be smart and just come out with extreme views on social media. But if you don't like Deontay Wilder, you're not a boxing fan.
Yeah.
Because why do we watch it? We watch it for excitement and knockouts, don't we? And Wilder did it better than anyone I've seen.
Yeah, it just goes to show what, a lonely sport it is and why boxers throughout their career have got to do what's right for them. Because, as you say, you just touched on it there, Ryan, how he's plummeted from the hero of the division to a no mark in the division.
Yeah.
Round 3, over to you, Ryan. Nick Ball, featherweight. Go on, mate.
Well, I can't give this young lad any more props. He should be a unified world champion for me on my card. Well, that's worth. He just fought a top Mexican, a top American, on both he's done 24 rounds with world class people. I just feel like he's probably slightly unknown because he's not one of these big mouths or anything like that. And I do hope now he's had the eyes on him, but I don't think it helps a pay-per-view event to get the eyes on you. I think he needs to be released so he could be seen by a bigger audience. Do you understand what I mean? That was a pay-per-view event, wasn't it? 23 quid to watch that. And I don't hear enough people talking about him and how good he is. He's only 5'4". He's a little beast of a fighter. I really rate his trainer, Paul Stevenson. I really rate the Red Triangle. I think the produced fighters, they're always really well scored. And I think it's exciting. I think the featherweight division's been a division that means something to me. I've been part of it. And he's now just continued on a trend of some of the best. If you go back to Selby, I think from as the world champion in my time to him now, in between that, you've got Warrington, you've got Wood, you've got Frampton. It's just a string of really good featherweights, and he's continuing the trend. It's really good to see, and I hope he does get to fight the Mexican again for the unified and get the belt, because I think he was brilliant, and I think he's a really, really good, solid fighter.
I tell you what, he must be good, because if you're fighting Nick Ball, you know what he's going to do. You know he's got one way of beating you, and he still manages to do it. So that shows how good he must be, Ryan.
I massively rate him, and look how big that was a huge American. That American, I predicted he could win on points, but the American's not even a featherweight. He's a super featherweight lightweight, and you just can't give him enough props. An American world champion he's in the top 1% of fighters in the world, an American world champion. So you ain't going to get probably more stiffer tests than that, and he rose to it. And yeah, so he's brilliant. I really, really rate him. He's exciting too. He comes to try and take you out.
And I tell you what, is there a better engine in boxing?
He's not. He's got Casadez.
Anywhere. I mean, in boxing. I'm not saying he's.
He can really take one as well. He's taking big hits of a much bigger man, a naturally bigger man. That's true. He's so well rounded. I really like him. Really, he's good. He's a very good fighter.
And must be dedicated as well to go from one training camp, tough fight with Vargas, said yes straight away, straight into Ford and did it again. So, yeah, top guy, Nick.
Brilliant. Round 4, over to you, John. There's some reverse roles from the other night you were mentioning.
Yeah. Does Filip Hrgović now find himself in the place Dubois was in a couple of years ago? You know, Hrgović, he's been an on-top fighter, hasn't he? He's coasted a little bit, but had his way. He's done what he's wanted with his opponents, really. The first time he met some resistance, he couldn't turn it round. If you told, let's all be honest, last week, if someone had said, Daniel Dubois is going to break Hrgovic's heart, he's going to want it more than him, and basically break him down, I don't think any of us would have believed it. But Dubois become this unbreakable. He walked through some ridiculous shots. His heart stayed intact, and he was not going to be denied, was he? And I think Hrgović finds himself in the position Dubois found himself after Joyce and maybe Usyk. He's got to prove himself now. He's got to prove that he wants it. He's got to prove that his heart can't be broken. He's got to prove he's determined. And Dubois has done it incredibly well. I thought he was sensational at weekend. It takes a special fighter to do it, and I think Kurgovich has got to do that now.
You've been. I mean, he just looked like the bully. When you can use the term bully in boxing, and you mean that good about a fighter. A real bully, real nasty, gets on top and hurts you, and that's praise to him. There was a guy the other night who was like, the bully, the first couple rounds, the bar walked through it, come through, and then the bully just didn't, was when he got pulled out with the cuts, he was almost relieved to be pulled out.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for Dubois, and it's a massive change. They don't call boxing the truth game for no reason. That's not truth to the supporters. That's not true to anybody else but yourself. And I think he's been forced to look at himself, Dubois. He's a better fighter for it. He's got a lot of experience now. But I'm really happy for his trainer, Don Charles, because Don Charles has had Chisora. He's now got Dubois. And if we talk about fighters in change, I think sometimes you get that trainer, because tell me a more relentless fighter than Chisora in the heavyweight division. Now Dubois is showing that same type of steel. What's changed? Well, the trainer. So I give full props to Don. Obviously, the fighter has to go out and execute things, but do think there's a saying in the McGregor book that I'm reading at the minute. The Kavanagh gym had win or learn, and he definitely learned in his loss. So he learned. So that's why he's a better fighter now. He's on that. He's on that. I think he's probably earned the AJ fight now. I think that's what they'll try and do, and that'll be a belter. Two English lads going for
Wembley,
big, be brilliant.
It goes back to what we touched on earlier with the highs and lows in boxing, where you can be 1 minute and where you are the next 360, like Wilder's career over the last 12 months or so. And now, if you even after, when he was counted out, not wanting to get up even against Usyk, if you said in, September 2024, there's going to be a record crowd at Wembley Stadium to watch him against Joshua, and people are going to be going in there tipping him to win, you would have sent that person for a frontal lobotomy, let alone,
But is this not why we love boxing?
This is why we love boxing, the lows are the lowest, the highs are the highest.
I tell you what, I couldn't have been, I used to do a lot with Daniel. I couldn't have been more pleased for him on Saturday. You could tell how delighted he was, couldn't you? And he's not going to scream and shout about it, but his personality's coming out a bit more now. But honestly, the change in that guy is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's ridiculous. I think he's got to keep his left hand up a little bit more. I won't be taking any of them right hands off Joshua. But I tell you what, he can't. He's got this mental steel now.
Yeah, I just remember I remember you've been to the house show. You told me when you went to the house for the day to film for one of your clients there. I think it was 32 Red. Sorry if I got that wrong, 32 Red. But my thing with Daniel, I remember once I was doing a lot more media work. I had to ring him up and do something on the phone, and I started throwing boxers at him. And I'm not, there was nothing wrong. And middleweights and that, didn't have a clue. I've mentioned a few heavyweights. He never knew them. And at the end of the conversation, he said, "Oh yeah, perhaps I better get to know the heavyweights a bit better." He generally didn't. It just doesn't. Just cares about his own career. If there was, a great middleweight fight on Saturday, I don't think Daniel will be bothering watching it.
No,
it's just the personality he is, and that's what he is. But yeah, good luck to him. Oh right, I think we went over there. Round 5. Just keeping the peace with promoters. Look, Saudi's been fantastic. It's going to continue to go fantastic. They're announcing fights to the end of this year, and who knows whether it lasts 6 months or 6 years. But I think over the last 6 months or so, what we've learned in boxing, we need promoters to keep the peace, because we are getting these great fights now. I mean, who knows what Eddie and Frank think of each other privately, but they're working together. And this is what we need in boxing. The best fighting the best, and promoters getting it on, some broadcasters showing some, because when was it, thanks to, I'll call him His Excellency now. I took the mickey out of that, to call him he's His Excellency. Thanks to His Excellency, boxing's in the greatest place it's been for many years because of him and what he's been taking to Saudi Arabia. But if it does go belly up and he suddenly falls in love with rounders or something, His Excellency might like rounders, and there's a suit, the round, you're getting 25 million for winning a game of rounders against the rival team. do you think it's too good to be true for promoters to carry on working together?
Not for me, Steve. Not at all. I think it's. I'm with you. I'm celebrating it. I think if the more the promoters can come together, that fight card, them 5 fights, nobody's seen it being a landslide one way or the other. They're all 50-50, 60-40, 55-45. It's a really good, solid fight card. And imagine that now, because Warren and Hearn have got the ability now to do 5 world titles to make it bigger. And I think that's what they're probably going to do. You can build careers over there. The money's brilliant. So that's what I'm hearing anyway. I think it's so positive, and His Excellency is doing an excellent job for us boxing fans. We're getting our value.
And if His Excellency wants to call Ryan Walsh, you'll get excitement in Saudi Arabia again. And he'll like Liam and particularly Michael at the press conference. John.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. You do wonder, with one person getting 5 of the stars wiped out in one night, whether he might second guess it a little bit if the money's not there on offer. But maybe they'll see that the increase in the fans and the ticket sales and stuff might compensate for that. But yeah, fingers crossed. I'd love to see Steve Wood against Steve Goodwin and things like that, right down the levels. Let's sort out the wheat from the chaff at all levels.
That would be brilliant. Steve Wood and Steve Goodwin. If it's 3-3, they could have the tiebreaker. Who does the most money, because they do so many shows, don't they? And that's the tiebreaker if it's 3-3. But I just hope, promoters not getting on as being like through decades and decades of boxing. Obviously, in the 70s and 80s, it was Jarvis, Astaire, and Nicky Duff. All ran the show, the cartel. Frank come along, broke that. We had the rivalry. We then had Matchroom, National Promotions, and Frank Warren. And it's just great that Eddie and Frank are working together. I mean, you don't have to like each other to do business in this sport. So long may it continue, whether His Excellency is about or not.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Go on, mate.
It was nice as a boxing fan not to have to choose one. They were both. The show was together, because usually you've got to choose between a Warren show or a Hearn show. It's nice that it was all together for once, which was. That annoys me. The amount of times I go next door and Liam's got one on the iPad and one on the TV. It's like, this isn't right.
Right, far away. Final round. Quite fitting that you lead us into the final round, Ryan. It's such a top guest. The new capital of boxing.
Saudi Arabia is, and I think UFC started this trend. I think that the reason it's so good is, 1, the money. 2, I think it's a bit exotic. It's a bit different. It's slowly but surely making itself the fight capital. I think all fighters want to go over there. Anyone who got a chance to go over there, be over the moon. And I think, like I was saying, His Excellency is doing excellent for the boxing fans, for the fighters, getting the promoters to work together. All I can see is win-win-win. Yes, there is a little bit of this fear that, what happens if he does get bored with it or whatever, but I don't think he will. I think boxing has been a staple in all human, how would you put it? It settles everything. The proof is if you look in this era of the YouTube era with this Misfits thing and everything, they always settle it with boxing. So the Saudis are going to put on the prime sport to show who the big men all the time. Where did the biggest fight in the last 25 years be held? It was in Saudi, weren't it? The money was there. I just think I can't really salute it enough and give enough props to what's happened, because I think it's what we need. It's what has been needed. It's brought boxing a little bit closer together, and it is money. To be fair, that's what's done it. Let's not go around the houses here. Without money, none of this would happen. And yeah, as a boxing fan, I'm really happy that it's moving the way we all, as ball boxing fans, we want it. It's cut the line between, well, I'm going to protect him and I'm going to protect him. Well, if the money's there, they all get together. And that's the biggest positive I can say that's come out of this Saudi.
Yeah, I think undoubtedly it's the capital now. And, in the 80s, you had Atlantic City, Las Vegas really well and truly took that crown back, or whatever you want to say, for many years. And even now, people will still call Las Vegas. But I do want Las Vegas to thrive again as a fight city, having been blessed to be been there so many times. Very lucky man to have been there for so many great fights. Always saying it, never take anything for granted. But you know what? If it does go back to Vegas, the way these Saudi cards are going, if boxing goes back to Vegas and we're getting these cards we used to have in Vegas where you'd have a good main event, a good 10-rounder, and an absolute load of rubbish, people will be saying, oh, we'll never compare with the Saudi cards. Las Vegas has really got to go something to get its crown back, because whatever happens in Vegas now, it's going to be compared with Saudi crowds. People don't want to see a 10-round NABF super welterweight title fight as the second fight on a pay-per-view card, which what we were getting on these Vegas shows for years.
The other thing Turkey seems to have grasped is if the fighters lose but put in a good performance, he brings them back. And that's what we've said for years. You know, some guys have been over there, they've had a tough fight, they've got taken out, and you're probably not going to see them again. I'd be surprised if we saw Craig Richards again and stuff. But people like Zhang, who fought well against Parker, he got brought back. Wilder was terrible against Parker, but he's got that explosiveness. They just overlooked the defeat and brought him back and give him another chance. So if you fight hard and fight well, you're going to get more opportunities. And that's what we've said for years, isn't it? No one cares about losses. As long as it's good to watch, it's exciting, and you give your all, you should get more opportunities. It's just like you were saying with UFC back, Ryan.
Yeah, the thing that I'm happy to see here is the standard, the card, especially the ones that's going to get the most eyeballs, has really jumped up in that card. Whatever card we see next, this is the one that we're going to compare it to, because we had 5, we had a world title fight, and 4 really good world-class, fringe world-class in some cases, fights. And I love to see a card where I go, well, I fancy him, but I won't be surprised if it was him. The more you can get them cards, UFC delivers that like weekly or monthly, let's say, in their big shows. And as a boxing fan, I've been crying for that. And when you get the 2 big promoters together like they have done, because it's the new capital, because the money's there, that's when we get the best fights. And long may it continue. Long may that this, they've set a bar now with that card. And
I wonder if we might end up getting them to, like, Warren and Hearn joining forces and going against another promoter.
Against the Americans.
So there's all sorts of things you can do.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But I tell you what, something else, just before we go, just staying on the subject of the weekend, we talked about the highs and lows. Our Deontay Wilder's career has sadly fallen apart after one I've loved watching. And I know you two have. Also, the Daniel Dubois turnaround in his career. But what about Willie Hutchinson, from losing to Lennox Clark to going and beating Craig Richards in Saudi Arabia, and he's going to guarantee himself a massive payday. I think they've now put out the purse bids, him against Buatsi for the interim WBO title because of the issues with Anthony Yard. That's how you turn a career around. Lennox Clark, we've hardly seen since. Did we see him lose to Mark Etheram, was it, I think?
Yeah.
That's boxing. I absolutely love it. Like I said, the stories, each little story you could make a film about. There's one for you. There's one, because it's never been how you fall, it's how you rise. And again, you got to give Willie. That was one where I fancied Spider Wood. I fancied Spider. I didn't get many right, really. I got Nick Paul right.
I had it 4-1. My 4-1 to match for him. I had it. When we was on here last week, I think my only one I was certain of, what I was very confident was Hamza Shiraz winning inside the distance. That was the only one I would have had a serious. But the other 4, I wasn't even close.
He's a beast, him. He just touches you. He's like the Pereira, because there's a UFC fighter who, when he touches you, he doesn't look big, and the destruction. He reminds me of that. Would you say that's right, John? You're a big UFC.
Pereira's. Big, tall, same frame as well, just an enormous guy.
He just touches you, and he really woke me up when he beat Liam Williams, because I've rated Liam Williams for a long time, and to do that to him, he's like, wow, that really made a statement to me. So I did really fancy. Fancy him.
It's two things of. Sorry,
Shiraz can dominate middleweight, can't he?
Yeah, I think
he's got the look about him, that he could really grasp it by the scruff of the neck for a good couple of years.
Yeah. You know, 2 things with him is, one always mentioned on here. Everyone says he don't care how much a training camp costs. He'll spend every penny. he's got on getting it right in camp with partners and everything. We've mentioned that on here often. But the other thing, you speak to people that have sparred with him and trained with him, they all say the same thing about him, that he's an absolute beast and a machine. Everybody. And I think when fighters, a procession of boxers say that, it's serious. It means you're serious.
Yeah, well, fair play to him. All the respect, and I hope he gets all the rewards.
Yeah, fellas, thanks very much for half hour of Saudi boxing. Thanks, John, as always. Ryan, thank you for coming on again. We'll get you back in a few months, as always. Brilliant guest on here, as always. Thanks, everyone else, for watching. And this has been a Saudi special on Bell to Bell. Thank you.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.